Should I share my screen?
Yes, please. You should be able to do that. So good. Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and get started, everybody. Good morning. I'm Dionne Mischler, one of the co-founders of SalesClass.ai, as well as the CEO of Inside Sales by Design. So thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Friday. And we are beyond thrilled that we have Brynne Tillman with us today talking about networking for referrals and LinkedIn and so many good things. Brynne is an absolute master of her craft, and I'm going to put out a plea for everyone to take notes and do what she says, right? So, because there's this feeling of LinkedIn has become the next gen spam cannon, right? So we want to make sure we're not doing those things, and we've got some goodness going on, right? We're not damaging our brand or our company's brand, and really engaging with people on a human level. So thank you everybody for joining. Brynne, we've got folks coming in, right? Because all the other Zoom meetings are ending, and then there's a transition, and then folks are joining us right now. So a couple other things that we'll talk about really quick. Sales Class, we are a community, so thank you so much for joining us. And you're going to see an email follow-up from me. Because our content isn't gated right now, it will be as of October, but our content is not gated. So you'll see a follow-up email from me, and then you will get the recording and any other collateral information from Brynne, whether it's a deck or any other links or anything like that. So just as a heads up, right, we do a CC for everybody. It's a community. Feel free to connect with Brynne. After this, feel free to connect with each other, right? We learn best when we are engaged with people. So with that, again, thank you everybody for joining us today. Brynne, you are one of the masters. We appreciate it. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here and so honored to be part of this amazing community. So, and this is my, first class. We did sort of a welcome video, but this is the first class, and I'm really excited to be teaching this. So this is LinkedIn Networking for Referrals. I'm Brynne Tillman. I'm the CEO and LinkedIn Whisperer Social Sales Link. Before I get started, Dionne mentioned some of our content. You can get the deck and a whole lot of other stuff by going to bit.ly/LinkedIn SalesClass AI. When you get there, it's just a little hub of content. So you have the deck for today. You actually have free access into our content library if you'd like to take that. There's valuable, like a checklist for value-centric profile, and a little ebook. This is a day in the life of a social seller, and you can just download each of these things as you'd like. So very excited to get started. I'm going to start with the Rolodex story because I think, this is how I got started. I got started in sales pre-cell phone, pre-fax machine, pre-email. And, I cut my teeth on cold calling, on outbound, on bought lists and yellow pages, right? Like that's really where I got my start. And I loved sales because it was a people person thing, but it was a grind, right? To get to the people. And I recall sitting across from one of my clients back, I think it was 1992, staring at his overflowing Rolodex. Now, I'd love to know how many of you put in chat, if you still have a Rolodex, put an R. If you don't know what a Rolodex is, put a question mark. Sometimes we get them. So I'm staring at this overflowing Rolodex thinking if I could get my hands on that for 20 minutes, I could identify who he knew that I wanted to meet, ask for introductions, and I wouldn't have to do as much cold calling. Well, fast forward 2 decades, I found LinkedIn, and it solved my problem because this was not just my Rolodex online, but the ability to filter and search my connections to identify who they knew that I wanted to meet and leverage the tool in order to get referrals. And that's when I recognized that this LinkedIn tool was probably going to be, and in my opinion is today, the most valuable top of the funnel sales tool we have available to us. Now, of course, we can use LinkedIn throughout the entire journey, but we're really going to talk about the networking and the prospecting from the very top of the pipeline today. So let's talk about how this worked for my client, Michelle. I just want to share because it really works. So Michelle is awesome. Michelle was in my class. Michelle is a staffing solutions person, and there was a huge opportunity that she couldn't get into because she would call and they wouldn't call her back. And she'd submit and they said, we've already got the RFPs in the door. We already know the vendors that we're going to choose from, and you're not one of them. So Michelle decided that she, after learning, how to use LinkedIn the right way, to look at who in her network knew some of the influencers and decision makers at the company she was trying to get into. And it turned out that she had a client that loves her that knew the CEO of the company. That's fabulous. So with one little call or email, I'm not sure which one, but connection, Michelle got in the door and won the bid. So that was completely through leveraging her existing network. And this is what I'm going to teach you how to do today. Okay. So again, resources. I guess I did that early. You can get the resources at bit.ly LinkedIn SalesClass AI. So in order for us to successfully leverage LinkedIn, we have to make sure that we convert our profile from a resume to a resource. I started teaching this, I think, in 2008. When I recognized if you're in sales and you're out there putting yourself out there, you're engaging and you're getting traffic to your profile, if you're talking about what a great negotiator you are, if you're talking about that you've won President's Club 5 times in a row, that's hurting your reputation. That is getting in the way. So I had this transformative moment in 2008 and went, oh my goodness, this absolutely needs to be a resource. This page, this profile page, needs to help us earn the right to get a call. And so we need to do that. So I'm going to open this up for Q&A later. So I'm absolutely happy to answer questions on how to do that. But I just want you to know that we need to move our profile to being a resource. What does that mean? I'll tell you quickly. And then if you have questions, write them down. We'll answer them at the end. But what it really means is stop telling people how you can help them and simply help them. Be of value right from your profile, and that will earn you the right to get the calls that we're now going to go ask for. So we're going to talk about LinkedIn for networking. And in general, I used to talk about LinkedIn for networking in our face-to-face one-on-ones, in our coffee meetings, when we meet strategic partners for lunch. We are now doing this virtually. And honestly, there's a side to this that's making it even more effective. And let me tell you a little bit about why. When I'd meet for lunch with my networking partner, I would do this research up front. I'd build a list of who they knew, right? I'd look through their Rolodex. I'd make my list. I'm going to show you how to do this. And then I'd show up with my list and they go, I can't remember that person. And, I'm not sure. And they'd open up their phone and they'd see who that was. And it was a little clunky. Now that we're meeting virtually, we're simply pulling up the other person's connections, mining through them into exactly the types of people we want to know. And quickly on the screen, they'll see the person, they'll say, oh, click through them. I remember that person. And all of a sudden, the networking becomes that much more powerful. So here's the point with networking. And this is also with clients. Why are we networking? We are networking so that we can grow our business. I love meeting new people, but I don't need new friends. I love the friends that I have. I'm happy when a business person now becomes my friend because I love people. But the goal of the networking is not to make a new friend. The goal is to build a relationship that can ultimately be a referral partner back and forth so that we can help each other grow. And LinkedIn is the way to do this, hands down. Because what do our networking relationships look like? Typically, we will get in to a networking relationship. We have full conversations, and then we say, Dionne, who do you know that can use my services? And what happens? She says, can't think of anyone right now. But if someone should ask me about LinkedIn, Brynne, you're the first person I'm going to refer. That's how it usually works. We are going to show you how to do that better, stronger, faster, and more productive today. I am sure everyone on the call 100% knows about their network, but there are two places that we play. Our first degree, these are the people that we're already connected to, and our second degree, this is finding out who knows who we want to know. Who are we connected to? There's also third degrees. I ignore them. So who do we want to network with? We have our clients. Our clients are some of the best networking partners. Now, our clients, it's not just your one buyer. You probably have 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 influencers inside of a company that you've now built some kind of rapport with that are great networking partners. Obviously, centers of influence. These are people that that are influential. Gerhard, for example, right? This is someone who has great influence in the community. These are great people to network with. Networking partners. So who are these people? These are people that are selling to your clients, but are not your competitors. This, to me, number 3, is where I have found some of the greatest introductions. Vendors, who are you buying from? They're selling to other people too. Coworkers, if you are in an industry where you have a lot of subject matter experts that are not in sales, but are client engaging, these are great opportunities, and they rely on you closing deals to pay their salary. So they're really good to network with. And often they don't know who they know, but they've connected with all these people on LinkedIn in the industry. And then there's general connections, which I don't spend a lot of time on, but if I can't get into a company or a particular buyer through one of my warm avenues, it can't hurt. I'll always look at a general connection. So the first thing we want to do is take inventory of who the heck do we know that we want to have these conversations with. So we recommend the first thing you do is export your connections and create columns, past clients, prospects, centers of influence. And let's just go through quickly while you're sitting there watching baseball or, whatever you're doing, right? With your laptop, ready to go, and spend some time going through your 3,000 connections and just identifying who are we connected to that we've been ignoring, because there's gold in those connections. And we're out there net new, yet we're ignoring the people that at least.
Do we have another screw up at Kaiser last night?
Ryan, could you mute there, please? But I'm trying to get into Kaiser. So if you have any connections there, I'd be happy to have that conversation. So let's export those connections, right? Let me go walk through. Here are the steps. You have access, if you go to the bit.ly link, you have access to these steps, but I'm just going to walk through it pretty quickly so you can see it's a lot of steps, but you could get there pretty quickly. So the first thing we want to do, we go to the My Network tab, and this is recorded, so you can come back and watch it or pause it. So I'm going to go quickly. My Network tab, Connections tab, that takes us here. Manage synced and imported contacts, export contacts, click Connections, request archive, put in your password, and in about 10 minutes, you will get an email. You'll export it. It will be in a zip file. When you open it, it will be in a CSV. And you will get first name, last name, company, position, and the date you connected with them. And now we want to take inventory. Just go through and say, who are the people I want to start conversations with? It will have a huge impact on your outbound efforts. So, yep, I kind of jumped ahead, but here's the take inventory. Create your columns, past clients, current clients. I jumped ahead. I always do this. But here are the people, like, and even community leaders. Who is it that we want to engage with? So if you have, let's say, you're part of chambers of commerce locally, we want to re-engage them. Those are opportunities. Or industry, maybe people that run summits or community leaders, right? Let's take the inventory. We can also search our connections for these people. So if I go live, I want to go into LinkedIn. Where do I search for these people? I click on the search bar and click on the people icon. This is in the free. Sales Navigator is even better. But I click on the all filters and I want to see my first degree connections. Now I can sell globally, but for the sake of the numbers that I'm going to pull up, I'm just going to put my little local area of Philadelphia. And then I'm going to go down and I am going to put in who do I want to talk to, which is typically vice presidents or directors of marketing and sales. This is a Boolean search. You don't need this in Sales Navigator, but you do need this inside of LinkedIn to drill down to your exact people that you want to meet. If you have questions on this, I have lots of blogs and content around how to build that. Let me know. I hit apply and I have 508 people that I'm already connected to that meet my criteria. So I want to go through, and I can do this either in my spreadsheet or I can do this, right here and make my list, however I want to be organized and record it. And then I want to send a video message to them. Number one way to engage with your buyers. So let me see, hopefully this works. It often does, and every once in a while doesn't. So I'm going to try to share my phone. Here we go. Yes, you guys see it? And I'm going to go to Chad, since I know he is on the phone, and he is my first degree connection. I'm going to message him, click on the plus sign, send a video message, go into selfie mode, and I'm going to say, hi, Chad. Thanks so much for having me be part of the SalesClass AI community. I'm very grateful. Okay. Now I send a message. Now, of course, that's not the message you're going to send, but how easy was that, right? He gets this message. It was 8 seconds. It's very personal. I'm going to come back and share my screen. And now we start to build relationships on LinkedIn, rebuild and reconnect. It takes no time at all. And by the way, you can do that search on your phone. You don't have to do it on your desktop. So, this ultimately, when we do this, so if we did the search, we could just message people all day long. What do we want to say when we message? Well, it could be just a reconnection message. You could have an event that you're inviting them to, or a piece of content that's really of value to start this conversation. So I might reach out and say, Heather, I hope you're doing well. It's been some time since we last chatted. I just watched a 5-minute video that I think is ideal for vice presidents of sales, had some great tips in there, and I thought I'd share it with you. I'm going to post the link below. I send my video, I send the content, and now this is networking. This is engaging with your folks in a way. We're not selling to them right now, but we're providing value. If you like that tip, put an exclamation point in chat. I'd love to see. So if you're like, yes, I love that tip, let little exclamation point. I'm telling you guys, this is a great way to start to strengthen your relationships as networking people. Sometimes I have sent a little video that says, say, Heather, it's been some time since we've last chatted, in a time where I might have invited you out to lunch just to catch up, and that's not possible, or it's unlikely that that's probable. I'd love to set up a little virtual coffee. If you're open, I'm going to stick a link to my calendar below. I'd love to catch up. Now, I have 500 people I could send this to. So once we start to identify who we want to network with, engage personally with them. So recordings, these are some templates for ideas. I hope this finds you well. It's been some time since we last chatted. And when your profile came up, I wanted to reach out and reconnect. I'm not sure if you're using Time to Network, but I'd love to jump on a 15-minute Zoom call and see how we might be able to benefit one another. There's one. Another one. So this is fun. When you export that list, you get the date you connected. You can also do that by hitting on their contact information when you're on their profile and see the date you connected. So if this is someone that you'd love to network with, you're connected to, but you have never really engaged, you could say, we've been connected since May of 2018, yet we haven't had a chance to speak. It seems like our professional worlds are complementary, and I thought I'd reach out and formally introduce myself. I'm not sure if you're using this Time to Network, but if you are, let's jump on a call. Easy. These are just these are what you say, right? Use their name, by the way. Use their name, because now they know that that message is for them. So it's been a while since we connected. Add the date. The reason I'm reaching out now is I recently read a powerful industry article on topic. Here were my takeaways. I'm going to post a link below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Right? So, these are just very simple ways to have success doing this. So the number one way to find networking partners, if you're like, okay, so I went through I have a terrible connections. I'm not connected to some good networking partners. What's another way I can start to find people? Ask your clients who else they're buying from. So for example, if you sell payroll, ask your client, who's your CPA? Do you like your CPA? If you like your CPA, can I have their name and reach out and mention that we share you as a client and I'd love to set up a call? You could do this with all your clients. They may have a CPA and a tax attorney and maybe three other financial advisor, right? Who else can we use to build networking relationships with? I hate to use the word use. I take that back. Who else can we begin to build networking relationships with? It's really powerful for a couple of reasons. Number one, you share a client, they're getting on a call with you. They're not going to not get on a call with you and have that get back to the client. Number two, you are going to feel more comfortable making introductions to them because your client loves them. And number three, they're going to feel more comfortable making introductions to you for the same reason. Now, what if your client says, I don't really like my CPA, he's totally non-responsive? Now you have an opportunity to introduce them to the CPAs in your network. I will typically say, I've got a great network of CPAs. I have 3 locally that I think all 3 are fabulous. I'm going to introduce you to all 3 of them, let you decide which one you connect with best, and let me know, how that works out. The only thing I ask is just don't tell the other CPAs that I'm making more than one introduction. If they know, they know, but it's better that they don't. And now they have these conversations, and all of a sudden now you're a connector, and those people are more likely to network back with you. 2 strategies to leveraging your warm market to gain access to your targeted buyers. So there's the introduction request, and there's permission to name drop. Now, in all of my books, I talk about the introduction request all the time. In most of what I've done up until probably the last year, 18 months, it was all about the introduction. And then we had sort of this moment of, we ask for introductions, our clients and networking partners say, yes, they'll do it, but only about half the time they get done. And sometimes they're annoyed that we're asking. So we invented this little, I don't know if we invented, but we developed this permission to name drop, and it's been very successful. So let's walk through kind of these templates when we start to identify who knows who we want to know. Dionne, I hope this note finds you well. I was searching Gerhard and noticed you're connected. I was wondering, how well do you know him? That's it. Start with, I'm just curious. How well do you know him? Start with that. Not, I want an introduction right away. I hope this finds you well. I was searching Gerhard and noticed you're connected. I'd love to get a little background before I reach out to him. Would you have a few minutes for a quick call? I'm not asking for an introduction. I'm just asking for a little bit of insight. So networking partner and client referrals. We're going to search their connections. We're going to make a list of who they know. We're going to review the list when we're together. And we're going to get referrals or permission to name drop. So here's the conversation. Mr. Klein, I'm so glad we've been able to help you solve X for you and your company. I'm not sure if you're aware, but the way I've typically grown my business has been from warm introductions from my happy clients. I happen to notice that you're connected to 8 people on LinkedIn that I'd love to get in front of. Can I run these names by you? I'm not asking my client for an introduction. I'm asking if I can run these 8 names by them. So on the call, this is what we want to make sure we cover. What you do, which they know you, they're your client. So that's fine. And if it's a networking partner, we need to cover what you do and why you want to reach out to these 8 people. You want to go through every single name and ask the question, do you think it makes sense, knowing what I do you think it makes sense for me to reach out to this person? And you're going to get a yes. I can mention that you are my client and that I can mention we had this call. So, right. So I'm going to say, you know, Michelle, could I mention that you're my client? Absolutely. So now I have 8 and we decide 5 of them make sense for me to reach out, or maybe she only remembers the 5 people. And I say, thank you so much for these insights. I really appreciate it. Of these 5, who would you be comfortable introducing me to? So she says 2. Fabulous. Thank you so much. Would it be okay when I reach out to these other 3 that I mentioned we had this conversation? So, Mr. Klein, I really appreciate you taking the time. Oh, I think I just did this, right? Would it be okay if oh, this is if I don't ask for the introduction. So this might be, I don't want to bug my client or have them make an introduction. So I may just say, Mr. Klein, I appreciate you taking the time to review these names. Would it be okay when I reach out to all 5 of them that I mentioned that you're my client and we had this call? So now we're going to name drop, but here are some rules about name dropping. Never without permission. Review the list when you're with them. Ask who's the good fit. Get the okay to mention the call. Now you're going to send a connection request and assume the call. So connection request, prospect, client and I were chatting the other day. Here's the key. You got to say the client's name first. That's your shared connection. That will suck them in and know that it's not spam, that it's not, you know, you're referring to a person that you have in common. Client and I were chatting the other day and your name came up in our conversation. She thought it made sense for me to reach out and introduce myself. So kindly visit my profile. If you agree, let's connect. Once they connect, prospect, thanks for connecting. I'd love to jump on a call and loop you in on what client and I were discussing. Here's a link to my calendar. Please pick a time that works best for you. Or if you don't have a link, I have some time Monday or Thursday afternoon, what works best for you. We're assuming the call because our client told them to take it. So did I just do that twice? I think I did that twice. It's so important. Oh, this is directly, thanks for connecting. I've been working with client for a few years. So I think this is more about the networking. That's what it is. This is the first time I built this for SalesClass AI. So this is the first time I'm going through it in this. So thanks for being patient with me. This is if it's the client, and this is saying I've been working with client for a few years doing this, this, and this. I'd love to jump on a call and loop you in. That way they have a little understanding on the client side. So networking partners, you're going to search their connections, invite them to do the same, review them on the Zoom call, and make mutual introductions for each other. This is how you can, so this is coffee meeting next week, virtual coffee, right? I'm looking forward to our virtual coffee meeting next week. Please feel free to look through my LinkedIn connections and make a list of people you might want to meet. I'll do the same and we can review the list and we're together. And we can go through and just like we made we made a list of people, we can go through. I can show you how to do this. And if you want in Q&A, you can put that in. And they can now, at this point, we can go in, make a list of people and share that list via Zoom and make some introductions for each other. You also want to make sure you write your introduction paragraph and send it to them, and they do the same, so they're introducing you exactly the way that you want to. This is a little template that you can use. Okay, we just went through a whole lot of stuff, and I know it was jam-packed, but what I'd love to do is ask for volunteers. One volunteer. We're going to have one person that plays. I'm not going to tell you the value of it yet, but there's huge value. So whoever raises their hand first absolutely gets to, who wants to be the volunteer, you'll come on video, and we're going to do a little game. Some real value in this, guys.
Cheryl is going to go ahead and volunteer.
Awesome. Okay, so Cheryl, let's get you on video.
Let me grab a box and you're not looking up my nose. There we go.
Awesome. Nice to meet you, Cheryl.
Nice
So
to meet you too.
so now we're going to go through my connections, and we're going to find 3 people I'm going to introduce you to.
Okay.
How's that?
I love it.
Right? I told you there's some big value in raising your hand on this. So first, let me learn about you, Cheryl. Let's see. You are Cheryl, M-I-K-O-V. Yep, there you are.
I am.
So nice to meet you. Is it okay if I send you a connection request?
Yeah, please.
Fabulous. So I'm going to show you guys when I send a connection request. Sadly, LinkedIn now is sending it, and then we have a chance to add a note if we choose to. That makes me sad, because if I don't send a note here, it's generic. But great meeting. You have to spell things right. Meeting you on the SalesClass AI program. Thanks. Oops. Oh, see, this is, I'm not a good typer with pressure. Thanks for volunteering. Okay. So now I'm saying, so now why did I do that? Because in 2 years from now, I'm going to go, Cheryl, my God, she looks so familiar. I know I've talked to her, but I can't remember where. I can look back at that message and know. So that is by far the #1 reason we want to message, because it's the best way. Okay, so sales enabler of digital engagement programs and sales readiness to drive inside sales revenue, social selling pro. Excellent. So you're probably already really good at this stuff, but it'll be fun anyway. So we're going to build out a list. I'm going to go into my people. So I'm doing first degrees. If you were searching me and you were doing this, you would click second degrees and you would put my name here. So, right. So if I were networking with Bill McCormick, I would do second degree Bill McCormick, and I would do Vice President of Sales Director, right? And this is how I would search Bill's, and he has 19 people that I might want to meet. So that's how I build my list. But we're going to build your list today. So let's start with, so because I'm in my connections, I'm doing my first degrees. What is the location that you would like to have introductions into?
Oh, let's say North Carolina.
Okay, so let's see how North Carolina, United States. Awesome. And who are the people by title that you'd like to meet?
I'll take VP marketing and sales.
Okay.
You can put VP and director marketing and sales.
Okay, so the irony is that's mine, right? So I have Vice President, Director, Marketing and Sales. Now let me show you how I built this out. It's a Boolean search. So everything that's in the parentheses are it's like 5th grade math, right? We do everything in parentheses first. So this gives me a list of all vice presidents or directors, huge list. This list gives me all marketing and sales, and my and means I need one person from this column and one person from this column. So I'm not going to get CMOs in this, and I'm not going to get marketing assistants, because they have to have both to show up in title. So now it's going to be a big list. Oh, why is it not a big list? Oh, because it's North Carolina, not United States. So here are the 36 people I know in that role that I'm connected to. And now we can go through this. And so you're going to write their names down, the people that
Okay.
you want to meet, and you are going to write your introduction paragraph,
Okay.
which is, so it's going to look something like, wait, I'd like to introduce you to Cheryl from Sales Enablement Company. I'm sorry, I forgot. I went to look at
I work for IBM.
or for IBM. I thought it might, I've heard of that company. I hear it's doing pretty well. I thought it might make sense for the two of you to connect and investigate how you might work together. Cheryl helps people with A, B, and C and X, Y, and Z. I'm not sure if this is an area you're currently exploring, but either way, I think a conversation will be worth your time. Cheryl will be reaching out to you in the next couple of days, but if you'd like to reach out to her sooner, here's her contact information. You're going to write this.
Okay.
Send it to me with the 3 people you want me to introduce you to.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So we look at this. Here's my list, right? So we can look right now. Now, if we were in Sales Navigator, we could go to company size. We could really drill down to very specific, targets. But, and you know what? I may not even put the pressure on you to do this right now. But if you feel comfortable, come back and search my connections. Or here, I'm going to show you my little, so you can't export in LinkedIn unless you have illegal tools that break their user agreement. So I have a little hack that doesn't break their user agreement. So I just highlighted, I'm trying to do this in a little cleaner. It's taking everything. That's okay for now. And I copy, and I go ahead and I open
Word.
You could open Word. I love it in Excel. I don't know why. I don't think I've even tried it in Word. But I go and I paste this. It's going to give me an error, and I'm going to say, I don't care about your darn error. I'm accepting it anyway. And then, all right, there's my error. I'm going to take it. And it will populate, oops, that whole list with pictures. And the nice thing is, if I go, okay, let's see, who's this person? I can click and right from the Excel spreadsheet and get to her profile. So what I'll do is I'll stick your email in chat, and I'll actually just send you my little spreadsheet, or you can feel free to go and look at my connections.
Thank you.
Well, and I'll make 3 introductions for you. So even if you want to go through and really dive in and pick like 7 to 10 people, but put your first favorite 3 at the top.
Okay.
And if I have deeper relationships beyond that, or ones that make sense, I may make a couple more. Who knows?
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's really how we are leveraging LinkedIn for networking and prospecting. So I'd love to hear from you guys. And let's open it up, unmute. Let's have a little conversation. How many of you are doing this already, first of all? Cheryl, are you doing some of this already?
We do some of this. So we have sellers who have both the free version and Sales Navigator version. Mm-hmm. And the reason that I wanted to come to your call, Brynne, is I am building out a program that has enablement assets, one of which is a messaging playbook and a contact strategy. So when I saw the, networking, I was like, let's see what goodies I might find in there that I'm not already aware of. So I was sorry to be 18 minutes late, but I was on another call. So I was really excited to be on your call. Will we get these charts by chance?
So the deck, you mean?
Yeah, the deck you just went through.
Yeah, so you can get to the deck right now. You can download it. It is available. If you look at the bottom here, it's bit.ly /LinkedIn SalesClass AI. Mm-hmm. And you'll get, there's a ton, there's other stuff in there too. Something that you might really enjoy is there's a day in the life of a social seller, and I take people through exactly what I do all day long. And the time.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm very glad to have come across you. Thank you.
Hey, can you throw that URL back up, please?
Yeah, so it is, why don't I just put it in chat?
Okay. Oh, that's perfect.
I did. I put it in chat, Brynne.
Oh, fabulous. So if you put, I'm going to do an HTTP in front of it because it will hyperlink. We'll do LinkedIn Sales Class AI. So I'm glad that you guys, so Cheryl, you found this to bring in some ideas that you might not have thought of before?
Yeah, we a lot of the messaging that you are suggesting we do today, so I completely agree with you, but you had a couple that we haven't done yet, so I'm going to give those a try.
Wonderful. And I have hundreds more, so I'm happy
Well, then maybe I'll actually reach out to you instead, Brynne, because I would love to kind of show you how we're approaching it and get your opinion. Okay, that'd be wonderful.
Absolutely. And it's Brynne like Lynn. I know my
mother.
mother.
I'm sorry, Brynne. I'm sorry.
You're not the first. Usually it's Bryne, so
okay.
Pretty good.
Well, at least I didn't do the E.
Yeah, so that's awesome. I look forward to talking with you, Cheryl. That'll be fun.
Yeah, thank you. And so what else? Yeah, so Brittany's asking a question. What do you do for follow-up if they don't respond?
So, a lot of the networking, we can't connect and pitch like it just doesn't work. We can't throw ourselves, so, and almost beg like for conversations. Like it's absolutely going to kill us in today's world. But follow-up is really important. So there are a couple of things that we can do for follow-up. And also, which we didn't get in, there's so much to get into. I am a big fan of socially surrounding someone. So let's look at who else they're connected to that we're connected to. Let's look at who else in the company that we can engage with. And then there's a couple things we can do. If it's a big enough company, so we'll use Cheryl and IBM for an example, I'm going to go out, you're going to laugh at this, but I'm going to go out and Google IBM Awards September 2020. And I'm going to look at what they won, because they won something, because they win 20 things a day, right? So they win something. I grab that, and there's a pretty good chance Cheryl didn't see it. I grab a link to that, and I reach out to Cheryl and say, Cheryl, I came across this award that IBM just won. I think it's awesome. Hopefully it's something related to maybe something sales or sales enablement or marketing, like I try to zone in. I say, I'm not sure if you had a chance to see this, but often we miss our own press. I wanted to just drop. I'm not selling anything, but how valuable did I just become to her? I'm giving her own press, number one. Maybe they don't have press, so now what do I do? I want to find an industry content that's not mine, right? So I find something that's awesome. Maybe you find something from SalesClass AI, I don't know, right? We find content that's awesome, that's specific to her role. So maybe you do vice president sales or sales enablement blogs. Now, we find someone who's not a competitor, but a really good piece of content she's going to care about. Maybe it's a podcast. Maybe it's a webinar. Maybe it's YouTube video, right? We grab that and say, Cheryl, I just listened to this podcast by Selling from the Heart with Larry Levine and Daryl Amy, and they talked about this very specific thing. It's about minute 827. You can send this to 50 people, by the way, right? You do the work up front. And they had a really good point around what VPs can do when they're leading remotely. I thought it might be something that might be of value. Hope you enjoy it. All of a sudden, this is building a relationship, right? We can't be so anxious to pitch. We have to bring value and earn the right to get those calls. And a lot of that has to do with being helpful to them. We have to detach from our goals and attach to theirs. We have to stop worrying about hitting our goals and worrying about helping our prospects and clients hit theirs. When we can live that philosophy, the sales will come.
I agree with you, Brynne, and I think it's such a great reminder, right? When we pitch too soon, and I think we've all done it, right? It's fine. This is a safe place, right? Where it's akin to, a giraffe ice skating, right? We're kind of clumsy. We're not, it's like, oh man, I just had a giraffe on ice moment, right? But I think we have, to your point, have you seen some of like what you're talking about, the surround strategy and sending information and being a resource? Have you seen that kind of be able to resuscitate or rescue some of
All
our
the
illness?
time. Oh my gosh. So I had a client that I talked to, it was really hot, and then COVID hit. And like, it was as close to a verbal yes as you could get. And then, I tried, I reached out. I didn't have her cell phone number. Her email, I'm sure she just wasn't responding, and it was overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I actually found a blog post on the 7 things that remote leaders need to know in order to reduce their stress and overwhelm.
Wow. Yeah.
That's it. It has nothing to do with LinkedIn. And I sent that to her. I have to find the article. It was a good article. It wasn't even a great article. It was a good article. And at the end of that, though, I got a response going, "You have no idea what that means to me."
Oh.
So I had all the follow-ups of, let's revisit this. Now's the time. Your people probably have a ton of time to, where they're not traveling. This would be a great time to. No response. I then send this article and I'm going, she's overwhelmed. She's stressed because she's a nice person and she's not ignoring me. She just doesn't know how to have a conversation with me and juggle everything else. And when she gets this article, she's like, first of all, it's happening to everyone. She's not alone. Here are some tips. And we started training a week and a half ago. We've gone 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, Brynne, thank you for sharing that story. I think what I hear is just the thoughtfulness and the compassion, right? Like, man alive, everybody has a story right now. And I think to what you said earlier at the top of the call is like, we're all, I think, trying to find a silver lining too. And so in recognizing it and pulling on that, and because I think we all know, right? Like a grateful heart and gratitude and all that good stuff. It's a better mindset. It's just a better way to be. I think to your point too is, wrapping the thoughtfulness and the compassion into it and all that good stuff, and knowing that, man alive, there are stories right now that right now is not easy, right? And it's not simple, and it's kind of a goat rodeo. So how do we kind of come to the table with all of those ideas in our hands and make it, to your point, make it easy for folks, for sure. So I think that's a great, great story. And you're just amazing. So thank you so much for doing this. Such great content. And so I had put some questions in the chat, and what are some of your key takeaways from today? And, Brynne covered a lot of ground, and there's a lot of great ideas here. And again, everybody will have the recording. You have access to the content that she had and the link that she put in. So what's your takeaway, and what's one thing you're going to start doing today to leverage some of these things and have a better network and professional relationship with some folks? I have some takeaways. I need to go through this and go, okay, what's one thing I can start next week, right? So put it in the chat, raise your hand, use some of the reaction emojis. I'm a huge fan of those. So, yay. Right? Pictures are worth 1,000.
Those enough. That's interesting.
What?
I don't use those enough.
I think we forget, right? So,
in fact, I think I've never used it. So I'm going, how do I do this? So if I go on, where am I reacting? I go into chat? No.
It's just the reactions button. There's a little emoji.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, and so if I do, all right. Oh.
Yes.
I'm on Zoom 12 times a day.
Yeah.
My entire business runs on Zoom, and I never did this.
Yeah,
That's my takeaway.
Yay, Cheryl. Yeah, and some, depending on which version of Zoom you're on, they have right below the choose virtual background, they have a video filter. So you can change like your color. It gives you a noir. It gives you
that I've done. Yeah,
that. I was laughing so hard. I put a mask on, a video filter mask on the other day. I couldn't help it. So it was pretty funny. All right, everybody, takeaways. Put it in the chat. Questions for Brynne. What are you going to start doing today to get better at these things, right? And use this to make everybody's lives better. Hannah. Unmute. I know, it's so interesting. All right, everybody, come on now. We're gonna go ahead and unmute you. Ah, Brittany, yep. Oh, no emojis. I'm sorry, that's a bummer. Always adding new people, yep. Yeah, Brynne, that personalized video was spot on, right? So I don't know about all of you. I think I always feel pressure to write and write well. And that's not my strong suit. Like I have to be in a certain headspace to write, and I don't write short, but I can do videos, right? So I feel like that's a good medium. So I think it's, you know, picking and choosing the mediums that kind of resonate.
People connect with you and they feel like you really took the time to do this.
Yeah. Yeah, which is true. So I love that. Oh, no emojis. Okay. We'll have to take a look at that YouTube link. I love it. Winnie, John, Tobin, John, Chad, Hannah, Yuri, what is a takeaway that you're going to be using today going forward? I like the video piece. I think that's amazing.
Fun. I want to know Chad's big takeaway. That's what I want to know. Because that man knows how to use LinkedIn. So I want to see what did he.
Chad Burmeister, are you there?
He is. I see his skiing picture.
I know, right?
I want to know, do you do these type of class? Yeah, so Sales Navigator is my specialty, really. I mean, I do the free too, but the Sales Navigator is like my baby. I love it.
Love it.
Yeah, and I'm also an advisor for their product, which is fun. So I have some insider product people that I talk to. Weird Al, word crimes. Not sure what that means from a takeaway.
I like it. Ryan, feel free to expand on that. We'd love to understand a little bit more. I love it.
Just have some fun with a video that's on. It's a, well, of course, everyone knows who Weird Al Yankovic is, I hope.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it remains culturally relevant when most of the songs that he parodies have lost cultural relevance decades ago. And he, parodies talking and using numbers and emojis.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people around my office, the younger crew, they send me little smiley faces. I'm like, okay, come on, guys. I have to go and have to clean that out before I forward that to people. Sending it in the office, that's cool. Sending it to clients, yeah, it makes me look a little bit weird. So
yeah,
but it's a funny video that you'll like. It parodies that song "Blurred Lines."
Yes.
So anyway, have a happy Friday and enjoy that.
Absolutely.
Okay, but I have a serious question. Trying to build a network of affiliates in sustainability-oriented companies. How do I use this tool or this process they're talking about to do that?
So the first thing we want to do is who's your perfect affiliate, right? We have to figure out. So what do you do?
Okay, so I write software for electric vehicle charging stations. That software eliminates the worry called range anxiety. And I'll explain what range anxiety is just real briefly. Is you're driving your gas-powered car, you run it below E. Probably no women on here ever will do that. But men, okay, we're a different type of animal. And Dionne's shaking her head and she's like, women don't do that, or women do that?
It has me 12. But.
Okay, so in a gas-powered car, the worst thing you're going to do is, okay, you got to get the gas can out, and hopefully you got it in the trunk. Because your dad's told you this because I get on my daughter for not carrying a gas can with her. She's 17. She's been driving for about a year now. And okay, anyway, that's about the worst that's going to happen. You're driving an electric vehicle and say the little charging station locator app on your phone says, okay, yep, there's a little green pin here over at 5th and Main. That's where the station is, and you hit on a little green, tap on a little green pin. It'll tell you what kind of station it is. But if it doesn't give you operational data, like, is this thing working? Or is it occupied by somebody else? You know, they're plugged in, they just plugged in, they're going to be plugged in for 2 hours. Oh boy, that's going to set your plans behind just a little bit. So the software that I've written gives you up to, I say up to the minute, but it's actually up to 3 minutes. Every 3 minutes, it polls the stations that are connected to a cloud-based administrator. So basically, it gives you.
So let me, and I hear it. Who are you selling to?
Well, we're selling the stations to commercial property management companies. Okay. So say you've got say there's a grocery store that'll usually be the anchor, and then they have sleeves.
So I'm and I don't mean to cut you off, but for time, I just want to get to the solution because
Okay. What I'm looking for in terms of the affiliate partners would be companies that they are engaged in sustainable business practices, the product that they sell. I'll give an example. One that's already on board with us is a whole house water filtration company. They sell a water filtration solution. It costs like $6,000, but on a single set of filters, which can be replaced for $75, you can refill a water bottle for
I'm gonna pull
500,000 refills.
I'm gonna pull you in. I love that you're so passionate about this. You've got all this stuff. I just want to get to like the core for now because everybody else, you know, we've got.
Okay, tell me what you mean. Tell me what you mean by the core.
Okay, so and I think I got so what we need to. So there are a couple things. So you've identified some people that might be affiliates. You've got the water people, but there are other people too. There are other people that install these charging machines. There are people the pavers of the parking lots, right?
Yeah.
What I want you to focus on first is building a list of who's working already with the person who's in charge of that charging station, right? So I want you to look at all the vendors that are working with the charging station person, okay? That's the first thing we do. Why? It's the easiest sale. They don't have to get into a new buyer. Your water person has to find a new buyer.
Right. But okay, here's what we're doing is, okay, you're familiar with fuel rewards programs, right? They've been around for, 40 years.
What I would love, go to 15 with Brynne. Let's set up 15 minutes and I'm happy to take a deep dive into this.
Okay, cool.
And I would love to have this conversation. I'm actually fascinated by it.
What link that you just gave me, put that in the chat, please.
Sure. So we'll set up 15 minutes and I'm thrilled to have this conversation. But what we need to do, this is from my perspective with LinkedIn, we need to find out who are the vendors that have relationships with your buyer already. The water people, maybe they're into it and they're excited and they're like, this is awesome. And it's life-changing for anyone that owns a Tesla, hands down, right? We love this, but they don't have a relationship with your buyer yet. So they'll become affiliates, but they are so hyper-focused on finding their own buyer that they're never going to be a great affiliate. This is it, right? Like they might be so excited and maybe they'll sell for you someday. I don't know, but there's a lot of work getting to the buyer. So if we're going to build an affiliate program, the most successful affiliate programs are when they can say, after they've built this great relationship with their buyer, and oh, by the way, I have one more thing I want to tell you about. That's how affiliates can really master this. If you're going after someone on philosophy, they're going to build their business. You are going to be an afterthought. You're still going to be an afterthought with your affiliate, but they're in front of your buyer, and that afterthought will turn to sales. So I teach affiliate all the time. That is absolutely foundational. Once you've done that, we've identified who those people are. We're now going to we're going to go find those people on LinkedIn and identify who we know that can help us get to that person.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay. I'm sorry to cut you off, Ryan.
No, hey, that's completely fine. Sometimes I do get a bit passionate about this.
I love it. I do too. I get it.
Yeah.
And I look forward to our 15-minute call.
Okay.
I love it. Wonderful. Well, again, thank you everybody so much. If you haven't connected with Brynne on LinkedIn, please do so. Connect with each other. I hope everybody has a great day, uses these principles. Brynne, thank you again so much for all of your wisdom and sharing it with us. We appreciate it. Be on the lookout for some follow-up, everybody, and have a great Friday.